Dear friends, the United States of America is experiencing an increasing threat from wild boars, which may be found everywhere from huge farmlands to calm communities. In the past, it was thought that these critters were only found in isolated forests. Nevertheless, they have now expanded across 35 states in the United States and are responsible for more than $2.50 billion in damage annually. They are not only responsible for the destruction of crops, but they also endanger the safety of the general population and do significant harm to natural ecosystems, as stated by the United States Department of Agriculture. The majority of our crops were destroyed in just one night, according to a farmer in Texas who stood in front of his damaged field and made the announcement. An entire year's worth of labor went by without a trace. It is no longer the case that the wild boar menace is confined to rural regions. Residents of residential neighborhoods in states such as Arizona, California, and Florida are currently being invaded by these individuals. I had never anticipated that I would be able to see wild boars in my own neighborhood in Tucson, a local shared with me. The children are now unable to venture outside due to their fear. This is a very risky approach. They are known to dig up gardens, tip over trash cans, and even attack pets that are kept in homes. In other cases, they even roam freely through the streets of the city, bringing both terror and frustration. There have been several incidents in which vehicles and wild boars have collided, resulting in grave casualties to the drivers of the vehicles involved. Wild boar hunting is a frequent practice in rural areas of the United States, and the government of the United States permits unlimited hunting of wild boars as a means of combating this issue. Among the methods, hunting is the most common. Due to the fact that wild boars are often active throughout the night, hunters typically make use of night vision gadgets in order to get a better shot at them. In order to locate them, hunters seek for evidence of movement in areas where they are likely to hide, such as in shrubs or near water sources. When hunting wild boars during the day, hunters make use of hunting dogs and drones to establish the precise location of the animals. In order to make it simpler for hunters to shoot boar herds, hunting dogs are let loose in order to push them out of the bushes and into open areas. Considering that these animals are extremely sensitive to odors that are unusual to them, hunters approach a herd from the downwind direction in order to avoid being detected. There is also the practice of capturing wild boars, in addition to hunting them. Placement of traps is more effective in shady regions that are close to water sources. In order to prevent boars from climbing out of the trap, common traps consist of steel netting or metal cages that are at least 1.50 meters high. People frequently use bait such as corn, vegetables, or roots for several days in order to lure the entire herd of wild boars into the trap. This is done because wild boars are intelligent animals that learn to avoid traps. There is a possibility that this procedure might take up to 2 weeks, with surveillance cameras guaranteeing that they have been familiar with the trap for a minimum of 3 nights in a row. After a significant portion of the herd has entered the trap, the door is opened using either sensors or a remote control. The hunting of wild boar has developed into a popular tourist activity in certain areas. Participants are able to easily approach and remove wild boar herds that cause damage to crops through the many helicopter hunting trips that are offered by numerous firms. The prices for these tours can reach up to $4,000 each flight. Following the conclusion of each hunt, the corpses of wild boar are typically distributed among the hunters so that they can be processed for consumption within the family, or sold to certain facilities that specialize in the preparation of meat. On the other hand, eating meat from wild boar is not as easy as many people might believe it to be. It is well recognized that wild boars are carriers of a wide variety of harmful infections. Research indicates that their flesh may include anywhere from 30 to 34 harmful pathogens, like as viruses that cause encephalitis, bacteria that cause salmonella, and infections that cause foot-and-mouth disease. In addition, it is possible for a wild boar's body to harbor as many as 37 different kinds of parasites, which is a concerning number. Furthermore, the powerful and pungent odor of wild boars makes it extremely difficult to process, preserve, and consume their meat. This is a challenge that cannot be ignored. Because of this, there are only approximately 15 licensed facilities in the United States that are permitted to prepare wild boar meat. This is a fairly tiny number when compared to the population of this invasive species and the urge to manage it. There are not many individuals who are aware of the fact that the existence of wild boars in the United States is an event that was not supposed to occur. They were brought to the area by European immigrants and explorers hundreds of years ago for the sake of farming or hunting. Over the course of time, a great number of individuals were able to escape into the wild, where they reproduced in an uncontrolled manner and eventually became one of the most deadly alien species in North America. In today's world, wild boars not only do harm to ecosystems, ruin crops, and pose a threat to local species, but they also assault humans and animals and carry diseases, a significant obstacle for governments, farmers, and environmentalists alike. They present a significant problem. It is possible that this conflict will continue for decades to come, given the frightening rate at which wild boars multiply and adapt to their environment. The conflict between humans and these creatures occurs on a daily basis across the states in which they are found. Beyond hunting and trapping, American farmers and wildlife managers are actively exploring and implementing advanced chemical control methods and engaging in fertility management research to tackle the wild boar crisis. This includes the use of toxic baits, specifically designed to be appealing to wild pigs while minimizing risk to non-target species. For example, some states have approved baits containing sodium nitrite, which is lethal to pigs but rapidly detoxified by other animals. Strict application protocols are in place to ensure targeted delivery and mitigate environmental impact. Furthermore, significant research is underway into immunocontraceptives, fertility control vaccines, that could be administered to female wild pigs. The goal is to develop a species-specific and effective oral bait delivery system that would reduce their reproductive rates, offering a long-term, non-lethal approach to population control that complements existing removal efforts. The battle against wild pigs is not solely fought by farmers and professional hunters. It increasingly involves community engagement and citizen science initiatives. Local governments and extension offices are launching programs to educate the public about the risks posed by wild pigs, how to identify signs of their presence, and safe deterrence methods for residential areas. Citizen science platforms allow residents to report wild pig sightings, damage incidents, and even provide photographic evidence, which helps wildlife agencies map population movements and identify new problem areas. Some communities organize volunteer-led trapping efforts under expert supervision, empowering residents to actively participate in control. This collaborative approach fosters a shared responsibility for wildlife management and enhances the overall effectiveness of control strategies by expanding the network of eyes and ears on the ground. While the challenges of processing wild boar meat are noted, there's a growing movement towards maximizing post-harvest utilization and creating economic value from wild pig removal. This isn't just about family consumption. Specialized businesses and mobile processing units are emerging to handle wild game. These operations focus on transforming wild pig meat into value-added products such as high-quality sausages, jerky, smoked hams, and specialty cuts that appeal to niche markets and restaurants. The development of these markets not only helps offset the costs of control, but also incentivizes removal efforts by creating an economic return. Furthermore, other byproducts, like hides for leather or tusk trophies, can also generate revenue. This shift towards a more comprehensive utilization model aims to make wild pig management more economically sustainable for landowners and the processing sector. Beyond direct removal, effective long-term wild pig control incorporates habitat modification and advanced exclusionary fencing strategies. Farmers are implementing techniques to make their properties less attractive to wild pigs, such as removing dense brush and overgrown vegetation that provides cover, and managing water sources to concentrate pigs in areas where they can be more easily controlled. Exclusionary fencing is a critical component, with increasingly sophisticated designs. This includes multi-strand electric fences, often solar-powered, that deliver a strong deterrent shock, and heavy-gauge woven wire fences that are buried a foot or more underground to prevent rooting underneath. Strategic placement of these fences around high-value crops, orchards, or vulnerable livestock enclosures can significantly reduce damage serving as a proactive defense mechanism that complements trapping and hunting efforts. These integrated land management practices aim to create less hospitable environments for wild pigs and protect agricultural investment.